The best revenge for people is who they are. Like the best thing you can do to really punish that person you're really upset with because they did X, Y, and Z to you, someone that can treat you poorly is very likely already treating themselves poorly. And that's why it makes them feel good to see other people feel as badly as they do all the time. And so their torment of you, like they are already their biggest tormentor. So the best revenge for them is them just being who they are. So what else is left for you to do, right, when you're in conflict? And it just makes me think, like, I can say with my whole heart and chest that I sincerely love people. Like, I love human beings. I'm energized from being around them. Like, I find people fundamentally fascinating. I feel like every single person, like, contains a whole world in and of themselves. Like, they have their own unique perspective, and like, you can only uncover that by getting to know people. And I feel like when I was younger and just learning about the world and being around people and all of these things, and I would see people behave poorly, or just patterns of people who have, you know, the ism, right? They are racist and they're displaying racism, or they're displaying like sexism, or whatever it is, right? Like people who behave like on a pattern very poorly. And it used to make me mad, right? Like this whole trip of like the angry Black woman. And I would be like, of course, Black women are angry. Like, we have so much to be angry about. And I'm not like saying, oh, I'm older now and I'm invalidating that experience if you're still in that phase where you're just mad as hell. But I just remember being mad as hell because I felt like there was so much injustice, even beyond like racism, sexism, misogyny, like generally across the world. Like, I'm someone that's very frustrated by things that are not fair. And it would just make me really mad. Like, it would make me really angry at the world. It would make me angry at people. And I would just feel like, why are there people out there that don't understand how to treat others the way they want to be treated, that genuinely feel like you can put people in a box without like looking to understand their depth any further? And that kind of thing used to really frustrate me. But now I'm like older, and there's been a lot of stuff to like get me to this point. But honestly, like, now when I reflect on it, I'm like, look, at the end of the day, nobody is born with, nobody is born looking down on others a specific way. Like, they are trained, they are socialized, they are exposed to their environment. And that environment, that place and time that they were, you know, privy to or whatever, that experience is uniquely theirs. And even my ability to notice what's wrong in this world is also from the vantage point I have of either having it done to me or being able to perceive it because you're almost like you're aware of it, right? So for example, someone who is a man moving through this world, and I was talking to someone about this the other day, a man moving through this world, they can decide to like, you know, try to learn more and not even radicalize, but just like try to see beyond the veil. But they have to be intentional about seeing beyond the veil, because it's very easy for them to not realize the veil exists, right? So you're living in a patriarchy and you're a man. It's very easy for you to not notice the things that are wrong, because again, they don't actually affect you, right? So whether or not you decide to pay attention to things happening to people who are not your gender or not, your life is kind of still the same. So it would take intention on your part to be aware of it, right? Or other people drawing your awareness towards it. Then of course there are people that are going to reject it either way, but part of their rejection of trying to learn about these subjects outside of themselves, like, they're able to reject it again because it's outside of them. It doesn't really make a difference to their day-to-day one way or another, right? But if you're a woman moving through the patriarchy, you can see very clearly how it affects you or the women around you, and how you're treated differently maybe because of the effects of a patriarchal society. And so because of that, you're aware, right? So even your opinion on, not to say that like every woman's a feminist or whatever, and I don't want to like put labels on it because it'll kind of distract from the point of the episode and everything, but ultimately you're aware of it because it's happening to you. So whether or not you choose to be aware of it, you will still feel the effects of it, which is also very possible, right? Where you don't actually understand the mechanism of why things happen to you a certain way, but you do understand on a basic level that, hey, I'm a woman. If I dress like this, I'll be treated a certain way. If I wear my hair like this, I'll be treated a certain way. If my lipstick is too brightly colored, I'll be treated a certain way. I have dress codes, and my clothing is policed in a way that other men's clothing is not policed. Or I exist in a body where I'm more shapely, or I have bigger breasts, so I can't wear the same clothes as someone who's flat-chested. And you might not understand the mechanism under why things are that way, but you do notice that it affects your day-to-day life in a way that a boy maybe doesn't have to notice any of those things, because again, it's not affecting his day-to-day in that way, right? So what's interesting is that before, the things that used to make me angry, I started to realize, like, it's kind of a privilege of mine that I'm even able to notice these things. Like, yes, like, okay, cool, like, it's not positive, but it's a privilege of mine. So when I'm angry at these other people who are just existing in a world with a completely different vantage point than mine, it doesn't really actually make any sense for me to be angry at them, because again, the same mechanism that affects my life is a mechanism that, like, is happening in their world, but doesn't maybe affect them in the same way to where they would even be aware of it. So for them to be punished for it in the sense that, like, I'm now showing hate towards them is kind of a waste of my time and energy. And again, it's like, I almost feel sad for those people. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, right, and I've been seeing, like, people have been doing studies about how for certain things, like, you literally have to be stupider than the rest of the population or whatever. That's an ironic way to put that. In order to, like, genuinely believe some of the things that, like, people are socialized to believe that are terrible and make no sense. But it's like, again, they only believe those things because they were socialized to believe them. They didn't come out of the womb thinking genuinely that people of a certain race or people of a certain gender were better or worse or act a certain way or don't. That was just what they were exposed to. So if they have strong opinions about that, then that's kind of natural, you know? So I don't have to hate them. And I almost feel sorry for them. And it allows me also to recognize the humanity in people that I disagree with, because I also understand that I'm disagreeing with someone who literally would be their job to disagree. Wouldn't even really make sense in their world not to disagree with me, right? And even though I know that I, like, really, like I said, I have this thing about things being fair and making sense, like, logically to me. So that makes me very willing to try to put myself in another person's shoes. But not everybody is like that. So if they're only wearing their own fucking shoes and they don't give a fuck about your shoes or whether you have shoes or not, then of course they're going to be, like, trying to go toe to toe with you or fundamentally hate you or disagree with you or whatever it is, or try to make your life a living hell. But something I've also realized is, like this episode kind of opened with, they're tormenting themselves just as much, if not more, than they're tormenting you. So I also have empathy from that perspective of, if this is how miserable you are to me, an external third party, like, I only have to interact with you for this interaction, right? I can still get away from you. I'm still going to go home. I'm still going to lie down in my bed tonight. And, like, the thoughts in my head belong to me. They don't belong to you. So, like, the only way I can really take your torment home with me is literally if I do. And I hold on to your every word. I don't filter it through the fact that, like, it's coming from your experience and it has nothing to do with me, and I make it have everything to do with me. And now I'm lying down and you're in my head and you're living there rent free and we're both as miserable as you are. But you do have to live with yourself and you do have to go home. And the harshness with which you treated me, you treat yourself with all the time, every time you make a mistake. And you have to live with that. And I'm not in your head and I don't have to live with that. And that's my gift, right? That's my gift. And ultimately that's your punishment. That if your mind is such a miserable place to where it's overflowing into my, reality, which again can be cut off very quickly after this interaction ends and I let it go, that doesn't happen in your world, because your world is still infiltrated and tainted by the experience of you having this poisonous attitude or mindset or behavior or perception, ultimately, right? So there's empathy, of course, but there's also a realism of the fact that, like that sucks for you. That really sucks for you. But yeah, like, the best revenge for someone being wicked or doing wicked things to you is they have to live with themselves. And also I think sometimes too, when it comes to like revenge, like separate from that, the best revenge for bad people or whatever, quote unquote, no one I think is truly, truly bad. They just do bad things. But the best revenge for people is who they are. And also the best revenge is you being who you are, regardless, right? Because if someone is miserable and they're trying to make that a contagious experience and, you know, stick you with that disease of their miserableness, and you are able to remain immune, you're able to keep your spirit lively, you're able to move forward in life and not change who you are simply because you've been disappointed by people, that's also the best revenge. Because not because it has anything to do with them, not because it will affect them in any way, not because you're trying to one up your haters or your imaginary haters or whatever it is, but because again, you get to still continue to go and walk away with that gift. Like I said, they win if you lie down that night and you take them with you and you put them in your head and you replay the moment and you change your worldview to include whatever, you know, seed or weed, I should say, they've planted in your beautiful garden. But if you pluck the weed right out, or you don't even allow it to kind of like take root in your experience, then that's also the best revenge. The best revenge is who they are, and the best revenge is you're still who you are, and they weren't able to destroy you. Also, coincidentally, it happens to make people really fucking mad when you do this, but, you know, it's like, that's the most beautiful thing. Like, imagine being Beyonce, and like, I'm sure there are people throughout her life that didn't like her, or, you know, like, I don't know. Beyonce is definitely a litmus test. I 1000% agree this, because I feel like anyways, we don't even have to get into the full specifics of all of that, but Beyonce is definitely a litmus test. But imagine like you used to be Beyonce's hater, and what? Like imagine like the way Beyonce acts, like that used to piss you off, and now look at her. Like what did you do? How did you stop her? You couldn't stop her. She was an unstoppable force. The best revenge for her is her being who she was. And the best revenge for you, being a hater of someone like her, is being who you are, because the hatred that you tried to poison her with that didn't work has now come right back to your own life, because you had to go back to bed and sleep with yourself, and you have to take your thoughts and your mind with you everywhere that you go. And the same critical, you know, view that you use against someone who is like that, you're using against yourself around the clock. So I can only imagine how miserable that is. Exactly. Or to even take it away from, like, Beyonce's a very big example, but, you know, even this idea of people being like, oh, like, I'm scared to post, and like people I know in real life calling me cringe and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, if they're calling you cringe or thinking you're cringe or saying like mean things about you behind your back to other people, blah, 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 again, like, they're showing their ass. They might get a giggle out of the mean comments they're saying towards you, but if they see you putting yourself out into the world and this is the immediate thing they project onto you, imagine being them. Imagine how many things they stop themselves from doing because of the judgment of others who are just like them. They're literally judging you because they are judging themselves. They would never allow themselves to do such a thing. They're having secondhand, quote unquote, embarrassment for you, because they would have firsthand embarrassment for themselves if they tried in public and failed in public. But literally the only people in this world that make it anywhere of use to themselves or feel fulfilled in any way had to be comfortable with failing on some level out loud. You had to fail in front of someone. There's no way to have like a private or completely private failure. Like you, and even if it's private and other people aren't seeing it, like you are still the one that's aware that like, oh my goodness, this took me forever to finally get there. And you have to kind of have, like, do all the work of lifting yourself up in private too. So these people that are judging you are judging themselves so much more. And that's why you also threaten them and you make them angry when you do your thing, knowing that they are too afraid to do their thing. And they're thinking to themselves, how dare they have the audacity and the confidence level to not care what someone like me thinks? Because I care deeply about not just what I think, but other people who think like me. I care what they think too. And you don't seem to care. And that makes them mad too, because they can't control you. And because they know they can't control you, you're an unstoppable force. They'll try to talk shit about you. They'll try to laugh about you. They want to kind of yuck your yum, you know? Like whether or not you've made it yet or you're about to, or once you do, they want to yuck your yum because they know that they want what you have and they can't have it. So they want to make you miserable. so that you can't really enjoy the thing that they've always wanted. They want to pretend like it's not something that they want. They want to pretend that it makes you less than, but really they're profoundly jealous. They're small-minded, and they don't believe in themselves, because if they believed in themselves and they believed that they could get to where you are or have the confidence to do what you can do, then they would never feel the need to say anything about you doing the thing, because they'd be doing the thing as well, even if it's not the same thing, and they would be excited to see someone else brave enough to do the thing as well. But they can't. So you make them feel small. You remind them, of like kind of their true nature, at least their true nature, until they're willing to take on like more of a growth mindset, or willing to take on the fact that like they're going to have to cede some control to their public image if they want to genuinely grow. And anytime you try to grow out of whatever box people have put you in, it's going to make them mad. So that's really the trade-off. When people are frustrating you, leave them the fuck alone. That's the best thing you can do. Don't take them home with you. Try to cleanse your mind of it. Do whatever you can to get that gnat out of your mind. Get the buzzing sound out of your head. That's the best thing you can do, because the interaction itself will teach you something. The interaction of frustration will teach you something. It'll teach you how to deal with people like that, because not everyone in this world is so pure-hearted like you are, right? So it'll either teach you how to get through this world, navigate, and understand dynamics that you didn't understand before because you wouldn't behave that way. So seeing someone else do it, you're like, what? But now you know, and now you've learned. And now you're sharpened for the next time. You are building discernment because of this person's stupidity, or because of this person's wickedness, or their jealousy, or whatever. But remember, it's their thing. It's their problem. Because of this person's ex that's terrible, it's their thing. You have now become better. You have discernment. You have wisdom. You have this. And you take that and you remind yourself that I don't need to do anything to this person. Of course, beyond like literal necessary plain as day action you should take, right? I don't need to fixate on how to make sure this person sees their just fruits or whatever, because them being themselves is miserable enough, and you being yourself and not allowing them to take you down is the worst gift they can possibly receive. I promise you that. And even if it doesn't make a dent, like we said, you still benefit. So the only end goal is becoming a better you, as always. All right, that's all for today. Thanks for thinking out loud with me, guys. My name is Obie, and welcome to Live Lumani. Make sure you follow the podcast, listen to a few other episodes, and share this with the friend that needs to hear it. And if you're one of the people that's always calling everything and running your mouth, look, I love to run my mouth too, but let's be encouraging of people and remember that like everyone is a human being and they're trying their best, like criticize from a place of love, or be productive about it. If it's genuinely just because you're seeing someone do something that you wouldn't do, like don't be a hating ass, weird ass bitch, okay? But he likes those kinds of people. Thank you. All right. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.